say this about women all the time, so I can say this about a man. He's nothing but a pretty face. Yup.
Hey everybody, it's me, RunnerEye, and today we're gonna be ranking the worst Drag Race verses of all time. So the Girl Group Challenge is one of the most beloved challenges in all of Drag Race, because it allows queens to kind of express themselves musically and write and perform lyrics to these songs, and oftentimes we get really amazing iconic moments from the show in these challenges. However, like everything in life, there's a yin to the yang, and for as many, great amazing performances as we have, we also have like 10 more terrible verses that some of the queens write, and oftentimes they end up being more iconic than the best verses. So I thought, why not do a tier list where we rank the worst of the worst when it comes to the Drag Race girl group verses. So let's get into it right now. So the first bad verse that we're gonna be talking about is probably the most iconic bad verse of them all. Roxy Andrews' verse in Read You, Wrote You.
I'm Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I know you love me, baby. That's why you brought me here.
Again, like I said, one of the most infamous verses that we've ever gotten on the show. I think it started out with people like actually hating this verse and saying it was like the worst verse of all time. But I think slowly people have started to kind of like come around to it, because it kind of went from being viewed as like just unironically terrible, but now it has kind of like this campy essence about it, and people love to joke about it and quote it.
I'm Roxy Andrews and I'm here to make it clear. I know you love me, baby. That's why I brought me here.
So people now view it as kind of like ironically good. Like it probably is the most iconic verse out of all of Drag Race, including the, good verses too. I don't even think that she was committed to the flop. I genuinely think that when she was performing this, that she was like, I have a banger of a verse right here, like my verse slays, it's the best one here. But I think that they did her kind of dirty, because like when she does like that bit when she's with like the fans and she's, she's doing like, she's popping and locking it, like polka dotting it. I feel like we could see this dance on like Shake It Up. I feel like that's but when she's doing all that, they did her so dirty with the, sound effect that they put over her voice.
I'm gonna show you what I can do.
I feel like some of the blame of why this is so bad has to go on the editors. It could never be Roxy Andrews. Roxy Andrews has never done anything wrong in her entire life.
You're wrong, Jinx, on the lollipop.
The reason I keep getting off, Roxy passed by me so close that I don't want to hit you.
If you hit me, I'm gonna hit you right in the face.
So this is going in the J. Jolie's laugh tier, because it does bring me the same amount of joy as hearing J. Jolie do her little giggle. So next up we have Pandora Box's verse in Show Up Queen.
Ha, 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 ha. Bitch.
What she was trying to do, listen, I'm gonna give like a deep, analysis of what she was trying to do, what her aim was. Did she end up there? No. But she was trying to replicate the success of her talent show number, where she kind of did this, weird kind of like robot thing, and it was like in the top that week. Don't ask me why. I don't judge the show. All Stars 6 had crazy fucking judging. Again, bringing it back up. Akira, why the fuck was she in the bottom for Prince? And then she had like the runway on top of it. Look at that runway and look at that Prince impression. How did she land in the bottom? How did she land when Ginger, not to drag Ginger 2 videos in a row, but Ginger did Fergie and looked fuck all like her and didn't do any like Fergie-isms. Like, why wasn't she doing cartwheels along the stage? That shit was so rigged. Because Pandora was trying to replicate that like robot thing, she decided to just like not write half of a verse and just decided to like, say ha 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 at the end of it. It's really bad. I think that what probably happened here is that she just wasn't comfortable writing lyrics, and so she got halfway through her verse, and then, production came in and was like, okay guys, we're going off to record the things now, so like, have your verses ready, and she was like, shit, I haven't prepared a single fucking thing for the second half of my verse, I'm just gonna write some random bullshit, and then she was just like, ha 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 ha. And then we ended up with this. I think it's like one of the worst verses that we've ever seen on the show. She was so blessed that she did not get eliminated for this. This is going in the iPhone alarm tier. I'm so sorry, Pandora. This verse does evoke the same amount of fear that I feel when I hear the iPhone alarm. So next up we have Kimora Hall's verse in Phenomenon.
From the House of Hall, Chicago's Mackie Doll.
Now this verse is most famous for the phrase "from the House of Hall," but as much as people like to make fun of this verse, I don't even think it's that bad, to be 100% honest. But what I love most about this verse is the fact that Kimora turns the word most, a word with 1 syllable, into a 3-syllable word.
I'm the most glamorous glamorous in this race.
That's 3 syllables. She literally stretched that word out 3 times as long as it actually should be, just so she could make it fit in with her gay agenda of saying that she's the most glamorous fucking person in this place. Also, I kind of love the sound that she makes at the end. Like, this is just like, it's not anywhere near as bad as most of the things on this list are gonna be. So, because of that, I am okay with putting her in the sound of rain on a window. Like, it soothes me. It's like a nice verse. Like, she does kind of commit some sins to the English language in there, but you know, haven't we all? Haven't we all? Like, you know, we can't judge her, because I live in a glass house when it comes to this matter. So next up, we have one of the more recent bad verses. We have Q's verse in Star Baby.
I strut in the fashion, serving looks my passion.
I'm sorry that I have to say this. Like, sorry to everyone who does not like Q. There is a lot of you out there. This is a top tier fucking verse. And I know that this is controversial. I don't care. I'm gonna be like, because I know, you know what, when I say this, I hope that everyone will come out of the woodworks and people will start admitting that this is like a fucking good verse. It sounds really good. It's really catchy. I really like it. The only thing which drags it down is Q herself, like her body, because she starts doing these like weird robotic dance moves, which, you know what, as someone who can't dance also, I kind of sympathize. You know, I feel represented. I feel represented by Q. She's doing like very robotic, you know, dance moves, but when has that ever stopped people from standing Lady Gaga? Like, Lady Gaga will do, you know, these really kind of like robotic, like cool, like stiff dance moves, and people eat that shit up. But when Q does it, it's a crime. So like, guys, what is the truth?
So what is the truth?
But in all seriousness, I like this verse. This is a good verse. I like it. I know that might be crazy. But normal people scare me. Normal people. And I know that people have like a problem with like the white stockings, but like, at least her hair looks pretty good. And if you're wondering, that is her real hair.
This is my real hair.
Oh, okay.
This is my, I just snatched this up earlier.
It's my real hair, honey. Yes, dude. This is my motherfucking real hair.
Sorry, everybody, this is going in top tier. It is absolutely beautiful songwriting. Well, I mean, like, the songwriting I don't really care about, but I like the way she sounds. I like the way the autotune makes her sound good. Also, it is pretty funny that she talks about, you know, not crashing.
No crashing, you cannot stop me.
And then she has like a car crash of a performance. So I also think that adds to it a little. So next up, we have another one from season 16. We have our winner, the banana obsessed woman that she is. We have Nymphia Wind and her verse in Power.
You better get that power within your flower. Have a seat at the table when you vote yellow.
So in this episode, Nymphia was tasked with writing a verse which encouraged people to go out and vote. But Nymphia did not know how to write lyrics. She was not a good, you know, songwriter. She had Megami write her previous verse earlier on in the season. She showed the judges versatility by having one of the best girl group, you know, verses we've ever seen on the show, and then also having one of the worst. That being said, is it actually like one of the worst? Like, let's look into it a little bit more, because I think that she actually did pretty good. For someone who was saying that they were terrible and couldn't write a single thing, she actually did pretty decent. I think that the first 3/4 of this verse is actually pretty decent, but then you get to the end. And again, I think it's similar to Pandora. She probably ran out of time and was like, fuck, we need to like come up with something now. And so our banana queen, our reigning banana queen, said, you know, I'll just, you know, rely on the good old reliable vote yellow, which was her catchphrase throughout the entire season. But the problem is that it doesn't rhyme with anything that she had laid down beforehand. So now it just is like a random, you know, section where she talks about voting yellow at the end of the verse. It just doesn't flow. And I think that that's the only thing dragging this verse down. So I don't think that this is as bad as some of the other ones here on the list today. So I'm totally okay with putting this one in Rain on Window. So next up we have Trinity the Tuck, and her category is verse.
Trinidadic, plastic, injectable realness. The body is here.
And you know what? Even though people like to make fun of this verse a lot, I think that it's actually like, it can't be fun. Like, this is like, is it a great verse? Like, no. Like, if this was like a feature in a song, like in a fucking like Billie Eilish song, would you love it? Would it be like, wow, this is like a really good new up and coming artist? No, you wouldn't. You would be like, this is dog. However, because this is Drag Race, and this is like a campy, dumb show, I think that this verse perfectly fits in. Like her intro where she comes up and she does that whole like, you know, spoken word section is really stupid and dumb, but in like a great way. And I actually think that the intro is the best part of this one because as soon as we get to the actual like singing, if you can call it that, it does take a little bit of a nosedive, but it's still like, you know, it still fits with the campy vibe that I think this verse is going for. I think it could be PlayStation 2 startup sound, because there's kind of a darkness, a kind of scariness about the PlayStation startup. I used to be scared of it when I was a kid. And that darkness can be found in this video. Like there is something a little bit scary. So yeah, it's going in the PlayStation 2 startup sound. And I think that's a fitting placement for it. Next up, we have Trinity the Tuck, another Trinity the Tuck verse. We could probably put all of Trinity's verses on here, I'm not gonna lie. But the next one we're gonna be talking about is her All-Star 7 Titanic verse.
Frosted tips, you know I had them. Yeah, Justin, you had me gagging.
So in this challenge, the queens were kind of tasked with performing on like an MTV, you know, like a parody. So the song is supposed to be full of like 90s references, hence why it's called Titanic. And Trinity decides to, you know, play this character who has just had her heart broken. And so she does the entire verse, like crying, and like, listen, I think Trinity did this because she knows she's not the best singer, and she decided that maybe she could play into a character that it would sound a little bit better. I remember when All-Star 7 came out, I tried to listen to this song like in my spare time, like listening to Drag Race music in my spare time, it kind of cringe. I remember trying to listen to this song. First up, it's like Monet's verse, and I'm like, damn, it's so good. And then like Trinity would come on, and then I would skip to Shay's verse. So is this the best verse? It's really not. You know, again, like I said, you could say this for all of Trinity's verses. They're not that good. We're gonna be putting it in the someone scrolling TikTok without headphones tier. It's just like, it's a little bit annoying. I don't like it makes me want to scroll. It makes me want to scroll past it when it's on in the song. So next up, we had the other terrible verse in Titanic, which was Raja's.
Atlantic deep, my loots I keep. Sink my bling bling bye bye ring.
Now this verse is kind of a meme in the Drag Race community for how unintelligible it is. People just think that she threw a bunch of random words together and just like hope to make it sound good. I'm gonna give you a dramatic reading of this verse, and you can make an informed decision on whether this is just gibberish or whether it's like the best piece of music that's ever been composed in your entire life. Atlantic deep, my loots I keep. Sink my bling bling bye bye ring. Treasure chasing, danger facing. Baby, you're drowning, frozen, frowning. Honey, your heart, why so cold? That's hot, melt like gold. Clubbing in our juicy crew. Call me Angel, Lucy Lou. Hiya. I'm not gonna lie, I personally like that she hasn't even written a full sentence anywhere in this verse. A lot of like sounds which kind of sounds like they shouldn't be put together, and I kind of like that essence about it. Is it a good verse? Absolutely not. It's really bad. And like overall, just like sonically, it doesn't sound that good. So I'm sad to say that it will be going in the iPhone alarm tier. So next up we have Darian Lake's "Oh No She Betta Don't" verse. So in this challenge, the queens were supposed to write like 90s, you know, rap verses. And I think that this genuinely might be the worst written, you know, lyrics that we've ever seen in a verse on Drag Race, which is saying something. Like it is an iconic verse simply for the phrase, big girl walking down this dirty street.
Big girl walking down the dirty street, walking down in all these dirty feet.
But that is actually her saying the lyrics wrong. So it's like, that is kind of like a Mandela effect of the Drag Race sphere, because the actual lyrics are so much more batshit crazy than that clip. Cause the actual lyrics are, big girl, why you all in bare feet, walking down this dirty city street. Get your shoes on, honey, till you make that money, cause your toenails dragging and that sure ain't funny. Like what? Like what? People make fun of Raja for having like completely random gibberish lyrics. I feel like this is even more gibberish. Like what the fuck is going on in this verse? Like what is she talking about? What is she talking about? I'm guessing she's saying like girl, get your shoes on because we're going out to make some money. But that's also like the weirdest way that she could have phrased it. Toenails dragging. What does that mean? Her toenails are dragging? Is it cause it's like, is that a thing? What is dragging toenails? I'm gonna get the most disgusting images when I search this up. Okay, so it came up with oncholysis, which is nail separation, and it says symptoms, causes. So maybe she was trying to like raise awareness There's nowhere that I could see that says why she's dragging toenails. Does it mean that she's dragging her feet like along the floor, so she's like dragging her toenails? I don't know. It's a very strange way. Whatever she's trying to say, the message has been lost in translation for me. It's so bad. But in like a great way. Like obviously, like as we know by all of my Darian tweets that I made during All Stars 8, I always root for my girl Darian no matter what. But this is going in the iPhone alarm tier. So next up we have Angina's I'm in Love verse.
I'm in love with Henry Cavill. He's my Superman and we flying.
Now in this challenge, the girls were required to like write a verse about someone who they love. And Angina chose Henry Cavill. But what the problem about this was that on the day of recording the lyrics, Angina lost her voice. Basically, you know, the worst nightmare of anyone competing on the show is losing your voice during a singing challenge. Like, you're basically fucked at that stage.
I'm in love with... Oh my god, it didn't even come out. Henry Cavill, he's my Superman. We flying.
So because she couldn't sing when she was recording the lyrics, her verse ends up being held together by like auto-tune and a prayer. And I think that for what that recording session sounded like, the end product isn't that bad. Like, it isn't great by any means, but like, it's not as bad as I would have expected it to sound. I think that they did a good job hiding all of that in the auto-tune. So yeah, it's not as bad as I would have expected it to be, but it's still not, you know, a good verse by any means. So I'm gonna put this one in the someone scrolling TikTok without headphones tier. So next up, we have one of the most iconic girl groups of all time. I'm cheating a little bit here because I am including 3 people in this entry, just because the chaos of all of their verses together is what makes this one as beautiful as it is. We have the Rectangle Girls of the World by Derek Barry, Naysha Lopez, and Chi-Chi DeVayne.
Rectangle girls of the world.
Now this is one of the biggest bangers we've ever had in Drag Race. Like, this is the definition of a song, of a girl group, of you know, verses that are so awful that it's so good. Because in the challenge, the queens were tasked with performing in like a new wave band, and Derek, Chi-Chi, and Naysha chose to do this like weird kind of like, they called it dragometry, and it was all about like shapes. And it sounds like I'm bullshitting you, but this actually is like a real performance. This is not AI generated, if you're wondering. They all decided to dress up as shapes, and then they give like a kind of like a little geometry lesson in this like new wave music style, and it's so bad. But the thing is, it's so bad that it's good, because it's like, I don't know what it is. It's just like, because it's like a really bad idea, but the idea is so bad that it's hilarious as it is. And then you have Derek Barry, who makes everything campy just by existing. And then you have the fact that the entire group was like beefing with one another behind the scenes because they had different ideas of what they wanted to do for these shapes on the head. It just like ignites something inside me. I don't know what it is. It's so like fun and like upbeat. It's so bad. This one is going in the J. Jolie's Laugh tier. So that's the tier list. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps me out. Most people who watch me aren't even subscribed, which is crazy. You could totally subscribe, and then you get notified about fun, cool content just like this. I have a Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to go follow me over there, please do. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Now it is time to thank the patrons, but I thought, why not keep it on theme and say thank you in a little bad verse of my own. Flame chaser, the cat chat, the the only Nico that I know is Montano, Jabroni, and Ravi Kasari, even Dip and Giovanni Baccari. Matt F, you know when is home, and you can leave a voicemail after the tone. And Jim, Jamie, James, and the Bradshaw, and Vico, Pop, and Wyatt Oliver, Michael, and Burn the Wisner, and my little brony RuPaul forever, Valerie with love, and Planet Daniel above, and Giovanni JPEG, and now is that enough? Craig Blythe, okay, yes, I'll be quiet, but only when I shout out to my boy, you and Wyatt. Thank you. I hear the applause out there. Thank you so much. You know, I am the winner of this non-existent challenge. I've been trying to outdo myself with these thank yous each week, and at what point do you outdo yourself so much to the point where you undo yourself? I feel like that's exactly what's happened here. Thank you so much to every single patron. I appreciate your support so much. And please don't sue me for using your names in this, Earblood song.